Oh my god. There was one time when I was younger, probably like 16 or 17. I went over to my friend's house, well, my neighbor's house, and we got high as a kite. And we made, we heated up cinnamon rolls in the microwave.
Of course.
And I went to grab mine, and it was really hot. And I was like, owie! And he was laughing so hard, he stopped, and he's like, motherfucker said, owie! And that was we watched Aqua Teen after that, and that was like the peak like catchphrase for the rest of the night, which is like, motherfucker said, owie. I bet if I texted him that exact quote, he would remember that.
I don't doubt it. I mean, they're for whatever reason, like throughout life, there are just these moments and these things that we say or things that we do, and it sticks. And I mean, like, that makes sense for like traumatic shit, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, traumatic shit, yeah, but
in the sense of something that's like that funny or that good,
it's just one of those key moments that's just like, yeah, it's just gonna stick 100%.
Shit that sticks.
The one time we used to go out to his garage, and there'd be like bumblebees flying around, so we'd hit him with tennis rackets.
That's a little fucking morbid, but
dude, they'd make the loudest noise coming off the tennis racket. It was so fun. I don't know why it was fun, but it was fun.
Oh, well, I mean, so when I was growing up, we also played with bees. Ironically enough, like these days, everybody's like, no, don't go to the bee, you'll get stung. And dude, we were out there with freaking glass pickle jars and super soakers.
Was there something that just popped up on the screen?
Yeah, something weird just went on.
Okay. Well, it's support assistant.
We're like catching bees in freaking jars.
Why?
Why the hell not? And honestly, I mean, I never did this, but my friend tortured the shit out of him because he would like catch them and then fill the jar up like halfway with water and like do like the cyclone thing.
Oh, so he was a serial killer.
A sadist. I mean, I love him to death, but yeah. What else are we gonna do? We go out back, catch the bees,
dude. The stuff that we did as kids versus like what people do as kids now is crazy, dude. We were at the park. We just had our baby, and we just wanted to get out of the house.
No, stop. She just had the baby.
She just had the baby.
Give her credit. I know you've been taking care of it a lot, but you went through hell to bring him here.
yeah, we went through hell. So we went to the park just to get out of the house and took our daughter up to the park, and the kids were running around, and like I felt terrible, but I was the parent looking at these kids like, oh boy, like I hope my daughter doesn't hang out with these guys as kids, because they're like running around, they're just like shit, and like just like saying all of the words. I'm like, you guys are like 6 or 7. What are we doing here? But
I don't get it. I mean, when I was 11, and where I lived, we had like some wooded areas. We had mostly open areas. There was an old rundown barn that like nobody wanted. Nobody ever touched it.
Oh wait, hold on. Before you go deeper, did I tell you that story
Deeper?
About the abandoned house in Dover?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you that after this. That'll jump us into spooky stuff for the podcast.
Okay. Rundown barn. We tore it down.
Wait, just tore down a barn.
We started taking it down, and we built a damn tree house out of it in like a week.
Dude, imagine if kids did that now. It'd be like headline news.
Yeah, I know, and I mean, like, it wasn't a small tree house either. We're talking like, full planks that are like 12 feet long, yeah. And we're like putting this thing up there. That thing could hold 10 of us, and was like a couple hammers that we found in our parents' sheds, and oh, I got a box of nails, got another box of nails, and then somebody else was like, hey, Dad, can you go to Lowe's and pick up a couple boxes of nails for us? So, what? Yeah,
what do you kids need
what
nails
do you kids
for?
need nails for? Oh, we're building a treehouse. Oh, okay, I did that when I was a kid. Like, if my kid came to me today, hey, I'm building a treehouse. Where? Let me get my tools.
Yeah.
I'm coming to help. Can I help?
Yeah.
Like, and nobody says it. Nobody does it.
No. So, the abandoned house in Dover. So, I hung out with this friend back in the day. I was probably 18. No.
Oh, God.
Roughly. No.
Oh, God.
Maybe 17.
Oh, God.
Somewhere around there.
We'll go with 17. That way you're indemnified in the event that anybody finds this.
So, there was this house that our friend Jake knew about. And it was...
Wait, is this the one? Don't say his last name, but it's...
You know him, yeah.
Okay.
It was this house that was just, like, in the most random spot. It was, like, in the middle of a field. Like, you turn down a dirt road, and you would never know it was there unless you knew the area.
Okay.
And it was abandoned.
Okay.
Nobody lived in it.
So it was haunted.
Well, that was where, like, because that was the age where we were like, cool, let's go, like, to an abandoned house or whatever. So...
I'm still like that.
So we went there, okay? It was like midnight. So we drive back, we get there, we get psyched out, and we're like, no, like, we're not going in. So then we go back to my friend TJ's house. And we're hanging out, and he starts talking about it, and I'm like, man, like, it would be cool to go there. And I was like, fuck it, dude, like, let's go tomorrow. And so we made plans. So we get to the house. Again, it's like probably midnight. We get to the house. It takes me a minute because I'm just like psyching myself up, and I'm like, all right, let's go. So we go around back. There's like a little like porch area. So we go in, and then you go in the back door. To the left, there's like the kitchen that goes. In front of you, there's like the stairs. And to the right, there's a room. So we go immediately, we just go up the stairs. I don't know why. I think he was leading, and he just led, and I just followed. So we go up the stairs.
That's how you walk into bad shit. Just
So-
to preface this, but
So we walk up the stairs, and, like, all the mirrors were painted over. There was, like, random papers in there. Like, it was just kind of, like, gave off, like, that weird, dilapidated, like, spooky kind of vibe. So... We're there. We're walking in the room.
Can we back up a second?
Yeah.
Somebody that was there painted those mirrors before it was abandoned.
Probably, yeah.
That's off.
So we're up in this, like, you go up the stairs. To the right, there's a room. To the left, there's a room. We went left into the room, and it, like, circles. So, like, if the stairwell goes up, you come, and then there's the room right here. And then there's another stairwell that goes up to the attic. And we looked up, and I was like, dude, I'm not going up there. Like, I draw the line at the attic. Like, no thanks. And all of a sudden, I hear what sounded like footsteps. And he goes, dude, hold on. And I'm like, I stop, and we're listening. And we hear footsteps on broken glass underneath of us. So he's like, holy shit, dude. And I'm starting to, like, freak out a little bit. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, something's about to go down here. So he goes, all right. He's like, we're just going to go down the steps, and we're just going to fucking run. And I'm like, all right, like, let's go.
Solid plan.
We go down the stairs. He goes first. He goes first down the stairs. He runs down. I'm right behind him. He stops at the bottom. And I hear, oh, shit, and he runs to the left. Naturally, I'm like, fuck, and I run to the left. He goes, and he's crouched in this corner. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I feel someone grab me and put me down on the ground. And I'm like, oh, shit. And, like, I hear him, like, like kind of like hyperventilating
and freaking out.
And I start doing the same thing because I'm just like, oh, like if he's scared right now, like I'm fucked. And I saw like this, it looked like a bloody hand holding a hammer. So at that point, I'm just like, I'm going to die. Like, I'm 100% like, this is it. Like, lights out. And then I hear him start to laugh. And I'm like, what? He set this up to get to, like, play a prank on me. He set it up on our way to go to the building. It was easily the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. Like, I legitimately had that I'm going to die today. Like, I fully accepted that.
Well, I mean, the day you die, acceptance isn't really negotiable.
It was so terrifying.
That's like a, well, been a good run. Guess I'm gonna find out what I've always wanted to know.
Yeah, dude. And like, it's just one of those, like, I hope I never have to experience that ever again.
Yeah, there's like I've gone into places that have been abandoned. Never anything that was like, you know, no trespassing, anything like that. I try to stay away from those because that, to me, is just kind of like a, you know, like maybe probably a reason for this.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, I want to have fun, but I don't want to get in trouble. Oh, our camera's being blocked by the screen.
But
there we go.
there's just something about the unknown that creates that curiosity, but it also creates that, like, hair on the back of your neck type thing because it's like, it's unknown. And I mean, you know, if you have the courage to, for lack of a better term, FAFO,
FAFO?
Fuck around and find out.
Oh, yeah.
If you have the courage to FAFO, then the more you fa, the more you fo. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you hear like Hell's Gates over in Helm that they took down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
that's a big problem, is like a lot of the places that would be like cool to go see have been like shut down because it's just like people just can't like respect the place.
Well, and that's the key right there is that, you know, regardless of what happens, somebody owns it somehow.
Yeah.
And you have to be respectful of that. Like, you know, if you want to go into an abandoned asylum, do your due diligence, figure out who owns it, get permission, you know, sign a waiver that if you get abducted by some psychiatric patient from 1946, it's not their problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, call it a day. There's an abandoned asylum down in Ellicott City, I think.
Oh, I think that's on the list of places that I would like to go.
I want to go down there, and it's only like 45 minutes, an hour away. But
I'm pretty sure though that it's like, it's there. I think there's one that's like close that is like highly like do not trespass, but there's another one that's just kind of like go at your own risk type of thing.
See, my biggest fear is I walk into that place and I suddenly feel like I'm at home.
Well, I think you would be at home.
Well,
You'd be like, the bathroom's right down here to the left.
That would be weird. There was somebody, like, I think it was Pennsylvania. They had an abandoned funeral home.
Oh, that would be
like,
gnarly.
You know, caskets were left, and like the hearse was still there.
Damn.
That's next level type shit for me.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, if you're gonna go ghost hunting this fall, just be respectful about it, and you know, let us know your stories, and maybe I can drag him out. And
I do want to go to like. See, that's the thing. Like, I'm not big on like the haunted type thing. Like, I like going to like an abandoned place and have it be like in a state of just like question. Like when I went to that abandoned industrial park, it was Linfield Industrial Park. we went there, and you would go into these massive warehouses, like huge, and some would be completely empty. Some still had machinery in it, still had skids full of empty bottles, all the paperwork with employee information and stuff on it. Like, all of that stuff just was left there, and it just stayed there. So, like, when you're at something like that, you're just like, what happened? Like, did they just, like, go under? Like, the business went under, and they just could never sell the building, and then it just dilapidated, and then they were like, well, we own the land with the buildings, and nobody wants to put the money into these things, so it's just going to sit here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff can happen. I mean, I think the most perplexing thought that I try to wrap my mind around every day is that the exact situation you just described is literally going to be the entire planet at one point.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because we're either going to leave or that's just going to be it. I mean, like, we can't stay forever. We know that, but... And that's a long, long time away.
Well, yeah.
But eventually, that's literally what it looks like. And, you know, let's say that does happen sooner rather than later, before, you know, the sun expands or whatever. What if you were the people that found it?
That'd be gnarly.
Dude, you find a whole world, and it's like, what?
Dude, imagine, instead of finding, like, an abandoned, like, building with all that stuff, a whole, like, town.
Those exist.
I know, but they're like, it's like a rare thing to find. That'd be gnarly.
We can find it. I mean, you want to go on a road trip? Like, I'll take a couple days off. You don't take any more time off. But...
I won't need any more time off. I've had enough time off. That is for damn sure. We've had quite the journey. What are some of your favorite horror movies, Andy?
Oh.
I know you're not a big movie guy.
I'm not a big movie guy, but I am a big horror guy.
Really? I didn't know that.
I am a very big horror guy.
Really?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is pretty good. I like Leatherface.
Which
Gremlin,
one? Which Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Like the old ones,
the
or
OG,
like
the OG?
The newer ones. There's one of the newer ones. It's from like the 2000s that I think is really good.
I may have seen that. I don't know.
I think it's called like New. It might just be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it might be like A New Beginning or something like that. Or maybe that was a really bad one.
There was so the one horror movie I will tell you that should probably just be taken off shelves and burned and never seen again is The Fog. It is the worst movie ever.
I've seen it, but I don't remember it.
Well, that's a good thing.
Which is
and
a lot of.
For that.
There's a lot of like movies that I've seen where I see them and I'm like, oh, I've seen this, but I don't remember.
Yeah, Terrifier is one of my favorites. Although the second one I could not watch all of.
We haven't dove into the second one yet. We were gonna watch it, and we were like scrolling through trying to find something to watch, and we were like, oh, we could watch this, and then we were like, not at the moment because our daughter was still awake. You can't be watching that with your daughter.
Art the Clown is cool.
I do see the thing that I do like about Terrifier and like what they're doing there is it has a very classic horror mystique to it. Like Art has like just the classic no words.
Well, he's a mime clown.
Exactly. But like that was what made like these old horror movies like so good, is when you had these terrifying, and sometimes not even terrifying, but like these I guess they're technically villains, but you had these things that would come at you and they would say nothing and they were just menacing.
Well, yeah.
Whether it's just like looking at you through the like in the shadows, or like looking at you through the blinds, or
it plays on that
standing in an empty alley like watching you, like
it plays on that unknown factor.
Yes, the unknown. Like it leaves you to your own devices.
I like Saw, the first Saw. I like the third one. I don't really remember the second one.
The first like 3 or 4 were really good.
Well, they were like 8, and I'm pretty sure that's too many.
I will agree that there is way too many of those movies.
But like Billy
Dude,
the Puppet.
So the Saw movies, like, I really liked how they were doing them. Like for the first, I think it was like the first 3, where like you had the 2 guys in the room, Adam and Dr. Gordon, and they were like, you found out that like Adam was taking pictures of the doctor because he was having an affair on his wife, and then you find out that the dude that locked them in the room has been in there the whole time. And you're like, it was just this like twist of your mind where you're like, whoa. And then the second and third one, they had like even more twists and intertwining stories and these things, and it was so well done. Like that really caught me at that time, because I'm a big person that likes lore and storytelling, and like I like the psychological part that like really you see a twist coming, but then this twist happens and it takes your focus off of this, so that when this happens, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I love that stuff, whether it's in games and movies, whatever it is. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah, I really particularly enjoyed in the original Saw the whole concept of, are you willing to sacrifice your quality of life to save your life entirely?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and like the thought that went into like the traps and stuff too. Bronson's not very happy. He must be getting his diaper changed.
There was another one. What movie was that? It was about a house.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean
that's a lot.
That's like a Hallmark storyline. It's like, oh, yeah. Look at they bought a new house and it's old, and
yeah,
look at that.
The Amityville Horror, the one that had Ryan Reynolds in it, that one was really good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, American Horror.
I think Alicia just took off his diaper, and I heard, "Aw." Either that or he peed all over the place.
Well, that's a.
Some of the horror movies that I really enjoy, Child's Play. Those ones, like I like. So, like when you're talking about horror movies and like the difference between like Child's Play or like Saw or Halloween or The Shining, it's like they're all different. I don't think horror is like a straight shoot genre. Like there's there's so many offshoots. There's like gore horror, there's like psychological horror, there's classic horror, there's so much, like there's like more like of an action type horror.
But it's all one thing.
Yes, but then like I don't know, like
I'll feast on your flesh.
The Child's Play movies, though, those have stuck with me since I was a kid. I watched that with my mom when I was young, and I had this doll. I think it was called a Buddy doll. It was like my Buddy doll. So after I saw that, I was like, and I threw it out my bedroom window, and my sister and her friend would throw it back in.
Oh, God.
So I remember that very, very vividly.
I want to make a horror movie called The Bambino.
So we watched, while we were in the hospital having Bronson, they had a marathon on one of the channels that we were watching that was all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. So we didn't really watch them. Like we would peek up every now and then between like nurses and family that would come to visit.
I like the pinball game.
Apparently that's not a very liked pinball game.
It's a pain in the ass.
I think that's
a pain in the ass.
I feel like when it comes to like the classic horror, I feel like Nightmare on Elm Street is pretty like safe in that it really holds up even after all these years. But watching the Friday the 13th movies, they were just kind of meh. Like, I feel like Jason's just kind of boring in a sense. Like, Freddy, you have where he comes to your dream, like in your dreams, which was super interesting because you have these kids that are like, I need to stay awake, and then they fall asleep and they don't know it, and then they see him and they're like, I can't wake up. You know what I mean? Like, those movies were, like, that's something that just ages very well, I think. And, like, the effects and, like, the scenery around, like, those kind of movies are a lot easier to...
I think that's kind of what...
to watch.
...has been a challenge over the years, though, is, like, you know, with the advent of so much CGI...
Yeah.
...and, you know, being able to make effects so much better, and also with, you know, just... advances in psychology and understanding how humans react to different things and how they process different things.
Yeah.
Modern horror movies kind of almost like relegate the vintage stuff to being ineffective from a horror standpoint. I mean, they're still good. They're still, you know, fun to watch, but the jump scares in some of the modern stuff compared to the jump scares in like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, I'll sit there and I'll be like,
Like, Friday the 13th is it more, would you classify that as more of like a slasher?
Yeah, kind of.
Because it kind of fits like the teen, I guess Nightmare on Elm Street would be like a slasher movie too.
So 2 movies that I'm wondering, are they horror? Could you consider them horror? And if they are they good?
I don't even want to know your answer.
Donnie Darko, because of Frank the Rabbit.
I
know you haven't seen that one, even though I gave it to you. And I didn't mean to give it to him.
It was in a PS2 he gave me.
But 2, Krampus.
Krampus is considered a horror movie.
Okay, well...
They sell Krampus stuff in Spirit Halloween.
Well, I consider it a Christmas movie, so...
That was a good movie. I enjoyed that.
The Jack in the Box is my favorite. And the little gingerbread man that comes down on the hook. It's like, hey, come here, fatty. Come here. You know, come here. Woo!
Yeah.
And the kid's like,
that was a good movie. The Halloween movies are really classic. We in this house, I know it's a controversial thing to say, but we enjoy the Rob Zombie ones. I think he did a really good job, like, modernizing that and, like, giving... Like, I like that he did a backstory of how Michael Myers became Michael Myers. How, like, it all began and stuff. But, like...
I mean, the rat was enough, but...
like, I like that it did that because I personally like things to have, like, a little bit of a backstory or an origin story a bit. And then the second one was, like, him trying to finish what he started. And the second one got a little weird sometimes, like...
But that's the thing, though.
With, like, the scene where, like, he's, like... It's, like, where Sherry Moon Zombie is, like, on a Pegasus or something.
Yes, but, like, if you're a serial killer and you're killing just to kill... How are you ever done?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's a point when you're done, but...
And then we were watching, like, for the most recent, like, 3 Halloween movies, we started watching, like, the first one in that where they brought back Jamie Lee Curtis. And, like, we were watching it, and I was, like, I remember going to the theater. We went to the theater to see that one mistakenly... late when we were driving to Salem the next day. Mistake. But we saw that when it came out, and we were like, it wasn't bad. But rewatching it was kind of like, you know, this isn't really that great.
Though that's another thing I'll say for horror.
You can easily ruin Like, if you remake like certain horror movies, you can easily just ruin them.
Well, yes, but also, after the first watch, I don't think you ever get that again.
No, that's true. Like you do watch it, but I will say there are some that I could watch, just like those Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Like we watched those a good bit, like at least like 2 to 3 times a year.
Sure, but everything after number 1 falls into a different category.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the one disadvantage to horror. And I guess it's kind of a disadvantage, kind of not, but like, I don't know, I don't usually go back more than twice. So.
I mean, some people just don't like revisiting stuff. Sometimes they're just like a one and done, like, oh, I've seen it, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, and I mean, if you watch a particular horror movie the first time and you shit your pants, maybe don't watch it again, or at least, like, wear a diaper.
Okay, here's one thing that I really hate about when they market horror movies. Like, I've seen it with where they're marketing Terrifier 3. They're like, people had to leave, and people were throwing up, or this and that, and it's like, okay. And that, like, when Paranormal Activity came out, they were like, people are going to, like, the hospital because it's so scary.
The hospital?
I watched that movie by myself in my room when it came out, like, on a torrent site. Well, and I wasn't affected by that at all.
Who hurt you? Like, I mean, some people are more sensitive than others. Some of us have been through some shit, and, others have not. So, the Terrifier stuff, I could totally see somebody yakking.
Based off of the first one, which is the only one I've seen so far, yeah, I could see how they like up the ante in the second one, and then they up the ante in the third one. So, I
don't know how you up.
I mean, I could see
that's a hard ante to up.
I could see that.
I could see them meeting it, but
and then like you have like things like Terrifier that will like push the boundary on like the gore factor, but then you have like Evil Dead, where you have like the most absurd, like laughable amount of like blood. Hostel, that movie was a tough watch back when that came out. Like that was basically like torture.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's basically what that was.
Yeah, I mean.
So like you have this nice balance. Like Evil Dead, like the original Evil Deads, the first one was like a straight comedy. It was bad to the point of like where it was just laughable. And then they did the second one, which is just a remake, and they leaned into the comedy, and that is just chef's kiss. Well, chef's kiss on that.
And that's like, I think every Halloween season, if you watch horror movies without watching at least one of the scary movies, you're doing it wrong.
I agree.
Because those...
Yeah.
Ghostface.
And then the new Evil Dead... Well, I guess it was like a remake-ish Evil Dead, where they had the friends that went... It was like basically everything playing out like the Evil Dead movies, but it was the girl rather than Bruce Campbell. Gremlins. Like, that's a classic. But
Gizmo.
I don't really I don't consider...
It is.
Is it?
It's not scary, but
dude, I love Gremlins.
I watch Gremlins and I laugh, and
I tried to get Lydia to watch Gremlins.
I show my daughter Gremlins, and all hell breaks loose because it's like, I can't get my stuffed animals wet, and I'm like, it don't work that way. Like, there was one time when one of them got dirty, and I'm, like, getting ready to scrub it, and she's, like, losing her shit, like, no, it's gotta go crazy!
I love when Gizmo gets the light shined in his eye, and he's just like, bright light! Oh, man, yeah, Gremlins is great. Hereditary, dude. Have you ever seen... You've seen that.
Yep.
That one was good. That one was really good. I
Nice.
like the Conjuring movies too. They were really well done.
Yes.
They're
Well, Blair Witch Project.
That's a classic. I remember when that came out.
That was Frederick, Maryland. So
Really?
yeah.
Oh, damn. Scream. That's like the slasher movie to watch. Like that's the one to watch. the scary movie. Slash and
I'm gonna
gash.
slash your gas. You got a hole in your ass. Peace.
Oh,
What you doing? Chilling.
killing.
Killing.
Why that?
Why that?
Oh, the classic. And then you've got The Exorcist and
That's the one Doofy was
The
in.
Shining. Yeah.
I'm cleaning my room.
Don't disturb me when I'm cleaning my room.
I'm gonna go poopy. Did you
When-
just say go poopy?
When Gail comes up to him and she's like trying to get the information, and she takes his hand and sucks his finger, and she's like, "Remind me not to do that again." And then she tickles him and he farts.
Well, the second one with the clown and Ray.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
bed scene, it was like, what are you doing?
I
Here's
like
a little balloon animal.
David Cross.
Oh God!
I can do it myself. Dude, that's the best one.
There's some fancy skates you got there. Be a shame if you fell.
That's the best one. That's the best one, right? The best scary movie. That's the best one, hands down.
Why don't you give me a standing ovation?
I like when
Kiss my grits.
he's like seasoning the turkey, and he's like, I don't know what these. Got to get all the little giblets,
It's my good hand.
and you got to get all the ginies and.
I think I'll be the bigger man and walk away.
Dude, it's the best. Stirring the mashed potatoes. So good.
What
It's so
the
good.
cat? The cat was Cindy.
Oh my god. I didn't mean to go poop in your litter box. And they get into like the slow motion fight
Oh.
when he knocks her out and he's just like dude, that is peak like spoof comedy. They don't make those like kinds of movies like the spoofs anymore.
I don't think they could. Like, dude, that would get canceled so damn
Dude,
quick. On so
imagine
many
now
levels.
though with like all the movies that have come out and stuff like that since then, like they could do so much. So much.
Dude, what would it be? 5?
No, they've gone beyond that. They had 5 with was that the one with where they made fun of signs? No.
They should.
That was like the third one. That one wasn't bad, but the second one's just the best.
They should make one and call it Scary Movie 0.
Don't do that.
No, and not like you literally make fun of every single horror movie that's come out.
I think that
since then.
I think if they were to go back and like, I think they've been talking about trying to bring that back. Just do like a straight scary movie.
It's not going to work. Well, they already have Scary Movie.
I know, but they also have Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Okay, that's the game. That's Activision being done.
But they've done that with movies.
No, I think like if you or like call it Scary Movie X or Scary Movie like oh shit. No. It doesn't matter because if you try to release that kind of humor today, it's not gonna.
Dude,
people are gonna love it because it's okay for
there's
reals.
there's
and shit.
only one. There's only one way they could make that movie again, though, and it has to be the Wayans brothers. Nobody else can make that movie. It has to be the Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
Because, dude, A Haunted House. That movie was so damn funny and quotable.
Yeah.
Right off of the jump with his dog getting killed. And he freaks out and he's like burying it with the little tombstone out there, and he like buries himself and then like punches his hand through the thing. Oh my god, dude. If you haven't seen a haunted house, or for some reason haven't seen Scary Movie 2, do yourself a favor.
So there's a question for you though. Like we're sitting here and we're like, that movie wouldn't do well because of the nature of the comedy, which is very insensitive. I mean, like it makes fun of things that aren't really.
But I think that
people do that every day in reels.
Yes, I know that.
Why is it okay for crowdsourced shit to go completely down this horribly inappropriate
Because
path?
I feel like if you're doing it on reels, it gets shared around so much and reposted that it's hard to find who like made it or who
no
originated.
Accountability. Or
I mean,
we all laugh at it, right?
Yes.
I mean, I laugh at shit that I shouldn't laugh at, and I'm like, oh,
I do it
funny.
all the time. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I feel like a horrible person going to hell. And then Satan shows up in my living room. But it's like, no, I laughed. But to your point, I think the accountability is there because you're tied to that as a movie like production company.
Yeah. There's somebody to blame.
Fuck it.
I think they should do it.
Send it. Ship it.
I think because I like the comedy, like especially stand-up comedy. Like I like the stand-up comedy where like they say something and you're like, oh.
Dude, stand-up will and there's accountability there.
Or even when you're listening to somebody on a podcast that is a comedian or whatever, and they say something like, when Shane Gillis says that it's his favorite video of all time, and it's the video of the kid, like the teenagers in the building, and they're like, "Don't worry, Mom, it's just apple juice." And then the building falls on 9/11, and they're watching it through the window, and they're just like. They literally after like, don't worry, Mom, it's apple juice. Ah! And then it pans over and it's just the towers falling. And he's like, it's my favorite video. And it is like a comical video that if you like watch it and you're like I feel like you have to watch it with the context of Shane Gillis saying it.
Yeah.
Like you can't just watch the video and find that funny, but like Shane Gillis is just a silly dude.
He is funny.
So and he makes that kind of comedy, and it's great.
I think Jimmy Carr takes the cake. The guy that looks like he's British and he kind of looks like the ventriloquist dummy from Goosebumps.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
yeah.
they did I think it was the roast of Pete Davidson where he was talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, where it's like, this is not the roast of Pete Davidson's father. That was in 2001. Yeah. Fucking brutal, man. Like that.
But Pete Davidson is like, he takes that like a champ. Anyway, we're getting off topic here.
We are.
So when it comes to playing games, Andy, were you ever real big into like any horror games? Like, did they? Like you say, you're a big horror movie guy, but are you a horror game guy?
Kind of. Not really on console as much, I don't think. But like Resident Evil, I guess that's arguably a horror game.
Yeah. The first, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8.
Like the first one that came out on PS4 with the family.
That's 7, yeah.
That scared the fucking bejesus
That's
out of
when
me.
they went back to like the actual horror.
Yeah, like I tried that on VR.
Yeah, that in VR was
I almost pissed myself at a Best Buy.
Yeah, that in VR was nuts.
What were the other games I played? Silent Hill 1.
That's like
Left 4 Dead.
So Left 4 Dead I would consider like horror, but it's that definitely like different kind.
Well, and then like I even think of it, I'm like, is The Last of Us horror?
I saw that on a list, but I wouldn't classify it as horror. I would classify it as like more adventure. I mean,
dude, I would classify it as horror. Look what the hell happens to Ellie.
I mean, yeah,
and
it's
from the perspective of what the fuck's his name? I forget his name.
Yeah.
Adult guy.
But like, you have the the classic. You have like the Silent Hills, the Resident Evils, Left 4 Dead. Dead Space is a good one. Did you ever play Dead Space? That was for 360 and PlayStation 3. Is when it first came out. You're like in space and you have like this gnarly suit on.
No.
That game was really good. I played the shit out of 1 and 2. Third one was kind of not great.
I think my favorite interactive horror experience is probably Everyday Life.
Have you ever played Condemned: Criminal Origins for the 360? I think that was also on PS3 too.
360.
That one was really good. It was on PS3 as well.
I feel like
Wait.
a lot of these games fall into that era where I was busy dadding.
What?
I feel like a lot of these games fall into the era where I was busy dadding.
Oh. Those ones, yeah. Left 4 Dead, yes. Parasite Eve, no. That was for the original PlayStation. That was like Resident Evil meets Final Fantasy.
What did the cover look like?
It had like a girl with that she was like sitting down, and it was like white / like pink, I think.
Is this something like 2000, 2001?
Whenever the no, like late 90s.
Yeah, I definitely didn't then. I think that's the one that I wanted to buy, but I couldn't.
Here, I'll show you. Parasite.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Who dat?
I do not know who that is. They're from Twitch.
Helicopter.
I love those.
Have you seen the Kermit ones?
Yeah. This is what it looked like. Oh, no, that's this. Parasite Eve 2 is the one where she's sitting down. That's Parasite Eve right there.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to buy it.
Really? Why?
Because I was fucking 9.
Yeah, we're not touching there.
Between who?
It's probably bots, if I had to guess.
Dolores and Meckelson.
I don't know what that means.
Can I Google?
Have you ever played Little Nightmares? That's
Yes. I'm better than my night is made.
Yeah, have you ever played Little Nightmares? It came out on PlayStation 4. It's like more recent-ish. We are not bots. Wow. Yay! That's pretty much the only people that we've gotten on Twitch is just the bots. Where they're like, yeah, Little Nightmares is fantastic. You're like this little character, and you run through like this. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Where they're like you're in this like world, but you're smaller than everybody, and like there's like these people that just like shoving food in their mouth and like just like being the absolute like epitome of what's the word I'm looking for? Gluttony, yeah.
I feel like that when I have played.
It's really good. And like sometimes you get like chased by them and you're like climbing up on the tables and stuff. I haven't played the second one yet. I think I might have it on my Steam account.
Okay, so I just Googled that, and this is literally the first time in my life I've gotten 0 results. So,
we're doing well. Yeah, Little Nightmares is fantastic. I would recommend playing that. It's not like scary. It's more of just like you get like an uneasy feeling kind of when you're playing it. Y'all.
Spit on that thing.
I mean,
that's a compliment right there.
That's not too hard to do from what I've seen.
What is good for the whole?
I'm listening to Thick of It right now. What is Thick of It? Is it a song?
Yeah. How did you not put the Friday the 13th game on there?
I've never played it.
Dude. It sucks.
I think they took that off. They took it off now. Like, you can't play it anymore. They took the server. I think They either took the servers down or they stopped selling the game.
I mean, you're a serial killer. The goal is to literally go around and slash as many people as you can.
Well, that's like the Dead by Daylight.
Yes.
That's kind of like that. I've never played that
I
game.
mean, I don't
either.
see how you can take that down and leave up GTA. But
Well, I think people just stopped.
whoa.
Eternal Darkness, that was on GameCube.
I didn't have a GameCube.
You didn't have a GameCube? I want to get a GameCube again, bad.
Let's do it.
Because I do want to play Eternal Darkness again. I played.
Maybe.
That was one that me and my friend rented when we were at his sister's house, because we would go to his sister's house a lot when we were early teens.
We'll listen to it when we're off air.
And
Can't because of copyright.
yeah. It was like one of those games where it would mess with you. So it would say your data was corrupted on your memory card, and your screen would go static, and it would make you think that your system was failing. But
that's true horror.
It was cool. Just ignore. Then Phasmophobia. That's a more recent game I played that on Steam. And dude, that was a wild one, because you play as these ghost hunters basically. So it's first person. You play as ghost hunters, and you have to work as a team. So you go into these houses, and you have the certain equipment, different things that you set up, and you have to find where the ghost is, or attract the ghosts, and the ghost would come and you would get caught. And it was wild. It was
I'd
good.
Be down to play that.
It was really good.
But hey, what color GameCube are you gonna get?
Black one probably. I like the platinum, but I like the classic indigo one too, the purple.
Don't they have custom colors for it now?
They do. I think they have.
Get a.
If you import it, they have an orange one. I don't think they had a North America orange one.
Maybe we could get a Mystachrome one.
There's people that do customs. They have a custom the centerpieces, the black piece that says GameCube on the top of the tray. You can get custom ones.
Okay.
So,
oh boy.
The Evil Within. Have you played The Evil Within?
Which one's that for?
That's it came out on PS4.
I'm not going to remember these names. I'm going to need to see covers.
It was made by the
Whoa.
It was made by the people that oh god, what is it? It was made by the people that made the original Resident Evils. That's the cover to the right.
Yes. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was psychological to the max. And they had a second one. I've yet to play it. And hold on a second here. We gotta do something here.
Well,
shit's getting out of hand.
Yeah, it's a bit much. So, which Saw was the best Saw? Did you like Bandsaw? Hacksaw. Jigsaw? I mean, Jigsaw was in the movie, so. Circular Saw. Rotary Saw.
And
We have little notes right up here, just so you all are aware. that we can follow along with. And we put them together throughout the week or the day before, and we have a collaborative note on our iPhones that we kind of work back and forth. It's mostly him. I think I had like two lines.
I had to go on Twitch and ban the people that were in there. They were getting a little...
That was bad.
A little crazy.
At any rate, we have, I do 2 lines once per quarter, and he does most of the work for this. But I put all that in there today to be an ass, because I'm good at that. And right there at the end, I came in today and realized that he responded to it with, in parentheses, what's that say?
I hate you. That is what that says, yes.
I earned it. As you were saying, before we had to...
Yes. So, it's no secret that I love Resident Evil games. Very much.
Is this where we're going with this?
That is where we were going with this. So last time we recorded, I think we released it last week. We talked about the first 3 Resident Evil games. I want to continue to talk about Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 6. Because I have, since we talked about the Resident Evil games, I am hardcore getting back into getting way back into my love for Resident Evil. Something about it just really just, I think talking about it and kind of revisiting the lore stuff really. So I beat 1, I beat the original 2, and I started 2 remake. And I stopped because we have a newborn to take care of that requires a bit, and since my wife had to go back to the hospital and I was with newborn and my 4-year-old, didn't really have much time to play games, surprisingly enough. I mean, I know that's hard to understand, but so I stopped, and then I just looked up a big huge list of if you want the full Resident Evil canon, every piece of the story, everything, where do you start and how do you go through in order? And there's manga books, there's reading the book, certain books, there's reading certain reports and files in the game, insane. It's an insane amount of shit that I'm going to be doing for quite a while.
You're following a walkthrough?
No, I'm not following a walkthrough.
Bullshit.
It's
bullshit.
So I'll give you an example.
A bullshit?
It says to listen to, or read Wesker's Report 2 and Wesker's Report. So that gives the backstory of how Wesker was intertwined with Umbrella, how he started as a young teenager to work in the science lab. I think he was 19 at the time, and he was working side by side with William Birkin, who the creator of the G virus.
All due respect, can't you get this same thing out of the wiki?
So it's basically so I listened. They actually, for the anniversary, they had the voice of Wesker from Resident Evil 5 read that report. So you can just throw in headphones and listen to it, which I did, and it was fantastic. Or if you bought the Resident Evil Archive books, which I own, surprisingly enough, you can just read it, or you can read it online. Whatever you want to do, however you want to consume it.
I put my headphones on and I listened to this man read this report, and suddenly I didn't want to be married anymore. I found a new love.
So they did that, and then it says after those files, it's Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 1 Remake, and then, it tells you, the order to play, and then if there's, a comic or a book that you have to read, it'll have that, read that, and, it'll give you the...
So it's a walkthrough.
You're not reading a walkthrough for
No,
the
you don't
games.
Read the walkthrough. You'd follow the walkthrough.
No, you follow the
Order
list of
set
things
in
to
the-
do. It's so when you say walk when you say walkthrough,
So buttered.
when you say walkthrough, I think of like a strategy guide where you're like it's telling you how like what to do in the game, but that's not what it is.
If this were 25 years ago, that's literally what it would be. You would only get that in a printed fucking guide.
It's a list, and you just fucking check off what you've done.
We all know what it is. It's okay. You're allowed.
But anyway,
you're allowed.
Back to what I was originally getting at. Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. So, Resident Evil 4, absolute masterpiece. No doubt about it. You can never argue that. It's fantastic. It's perfect. The original, the remake, both of them, just 10 out of 10s. Absolute, just perfection.
Yeah. I don't like that they jumped all the way to the frickin' president from 3. Because 3 was like, oh, we have this problem locally. I'm this little policeman.
So that's where the lore...
Right, but...
Lore, Andy.
I think they went a little far.
Not when you know how they got there.
How did... Okay. Somebody... The president randomly comes into play.
You just had a town get blown up.
That clearly is not happening in one town.
And
it can't be.
That's where it started, in Raccoon City.
Also,
but they figured out who was behind it, which is a global organization. They have people over in Europe and stuff like that. Like Umbrella Europe was the one that sent Nemesis to Raccoon City.
Fair enough. All the same, if I'm the president and my daughter is kidnapped, I'm probably not sending the guy that just drugged himself through hell.
That's the perfect person you go through.
Oh, yeah, the fatigued, tired.
So, I'll read a brief little summary of it because we did it with the other ones.
It is a great game.
So, players control the special agent Leon S. Kennedy if you've played Resident Evil 2.
Whoa. Is this man one of the Kennedys? Is he?
He's on a mission to rescue the U.S. president's daughter, Ashley Graham, who has been kidnapped by a religious cult in rural Spain. Leon fights hordes of enemies infected by a mind-controlling parasite and reunites with the spy Ada Wong.
Is she from Jurassic Park? Wasn't his name Wong?
I hate you so much. Dude, this game was just... It was a good balance of, action... of horror and stuff it was just a good balance of everything. It just oh god, it's so good.
I better stop this or somebody's gonna think I'm doing something.
It's it really took being able to get a currency to upgrade your weapons, buy new ones, find new ones, and just have this arsenal that you can constantly do.
Currency?
Yeah, you had the pesetas. Because you would be able to sell stuff to the merchant, buy upgrades, buy bigger cases, attaché cases.
I forgot they had that. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you forget that they had that? Then they had all the jewels and stuff you could find, the spinels and the rubies and sapphires.
Because I literally haven't played this since.
Then you can. Out. Oh my god.
Somebody doesn't ever invite me over.
You can play it at your house. You have a PlayStation 4.
I don't have the game. That's here.
Take it.
Well, no, I'd rather come over here and play it with my friend.
I would love to stream some games, but newborn life and stuff.
Yeah, well, he can come down here.
Probably, yeah. Yeah,
Wait a minute. What's the national currency of Spain?
You're asking. I'm not a currency expert.
What is this? It's not the peso. That's Mexico.
Is it what they use? Pesetas?
I don't think so.
You're the Google man. You can
Yeah.
look it up. Yeah, but you get the so Resident Evil 2 is a lot of people's favorite Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4 is also a lot of people's favorite Resident Evil as well. You get what? That's grandparents. They had brought Lydia back.
So they use the euro now, like the rest of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It was the peseta.
Ah!
They were freaking accurate. That's. I love it when games do
they
shit.
actually speak Spanish too, like real Spanish in the game.
Well, there's fake, so not Spanglish.
Well, there's like Spain Spanish, and then there's like Mexican Spanish.
Well, it's called a dialect, but to your point, yes.
I literally was watching. Oh, there, we're back.
Oh, snap!
That was interesting.
That don't happen often.
No, not at all.
We're taking down an alien. Where?
What were we saying?
Pesetas, Spanish.
Oh,
the game.
He was saying about how Spanish was his first language, and when he was playing Resident Evil 4, he heard them speaking Spanish and like could understand what they were saying, and like what they were saying actually coincides with what they're doing. So he would know what they were going to do before they started to do it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He said it was like a cool little experience, but then there was like parts where he listened to what they said and be like, "Oh, that's different."
I thought it was the escudo still, but that hasn't. Evidently, that stopped in 1869, so I'm quite a ways off. Not playing Jeopardy on that one.
But the gameplay for this, like they had like the over the shoulder, which I think changed the way that you played those kinds of games. Like over the shoulder, that was like the standard. And Resident Evil 4, if you've played the first Devil May Cry, that came from an early version of Resident Evil 4. I remember when they started advertising it in magazines, they were showing like this supernatural like type of look where it was like super dark with like the white lights and someone's using the sink. And it was like it looked weird. And they tried the fixed camera angles with that. And if you see, you can look up like early Resident Evil 4 footage and be like, and see like what it looked like. I think there's even ways that you can play it if you're good with like emulators and stuff. But Devil May Cry came from the early version of Resident Evil, because then they scrapped it because they thought it was too far from the Resident Evil formula, which thank God, because we got this. And then they remade it, which I will admit at first I was like, why? Why do they need to remake it? And so I was very like, they could have spent their hard-earned dollars remaking like Resident Evil Code Veronica or the Outbreak games or whatever. Like, why do you need to remake 4?
Because.
And then it came out, and I was like, thank you. Thank you for remaking this game, because goddamn, this is great.
Whoa.
It was, I got the special edition.
Lord's name in vain.
So good. So good. Resident Evil 5. A lot of people are divided on this one. So a lot of people there are some people that like this game because it was the first one that you could play co-op. So you could play co-op split screen, and then you could also play co-op online. So you had Chris, the returning Chris Redfield, and Sheva. So when they started advertising this game...
It's not Shiva.
I think it's pronounced Sheva.
I don't really care, but...
So when they started advertising this in the Game Informers and stuff, they were advertising it like the sun was like a main factor and would like affect like the way that you played or something like that. And apparently they like scrapped that idea. So Resident Evil 5.
Why did they abstract the actual like area, but still call it Africa?
So I'll
There's
read
no
the
advantage to that.
I'll read the summary here. The plot involves an investigation of a terrorist threat by Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance (BSAA) agents Chris Redfield and Sheva Alomar in Kajuju, a fictional region of West Africa. Chris learns that he must confront his past in the form of an old enemy, Albert Wesker, and his former partner, Jill Valentine. So,
I never played this one. Valentine teams up with Wesker?
So Wesker, like, what you see bits of like a character who's in like a hood. You see like pictures, and then Sheva, I believe, sees one and shows Chris, and Chris realizes that it's Jill. So I think leading up to it, like, it's kind of like implied but never said. And then when you get to a certain part, she comes out and she's like in this blue like suit, and she has this thing on her chest. It's like this red like pendant, and it's like going into her chest like a spider almost that's like latched on, and she has blonde hair. So it's like this device that goes into her that controls her. So like you have to fight her. There's two ways that you can fight her. So like you can like shoot. If you have really good aim, you can shoot the thing on her chest, and then it'll start to spark, and you run up and you try and pull it off, and you have to do that a certain amount of times before you actually rip it out. Or you can continue to shoot it. But if you miss, you kill her, and then you get a game over. But yeah, so Wesker. So what happened is there was DLC that came out for this game. It was Desperate. Was it Desperate Escape? Where Chris and Jill are moving in on Oswald Spencer, and they find him, but he's dead, and Wesker's there. So they try and fight Wesker, but of course Wesker's all badass and like superpower dude where he can just like dodge bullets and fucking just beat the shit out of you. So Jill sees a chance to tackle him out a window. So she tackles him out this window off of this cliff. And then Chris presumes that she's dead. And he goes on the mission with BSAA to Africa with Sheva and finds out, Wesker, and then finds Jill there. So, yes. I personally really had a good time. I've played this game so many times. It's actually insane.
For a good time, call him.
It's really, really good. I mean, if you have somebody to play it with, it's even better. Because the AI Sheva is rage-inducing. I would love to play Resident Evil 5 with you. Yeah, definitely try and play it with somebody. But
we got something to eat before I go.
Yes, you do. This one is kind of like the same like gameplay style as 4. Like, it's the over the shoulder, you have the collectibles, you can sell stuff, buy stuff, find stuff. It's kind of the same. The setting, I'm not a huge fan of the setting, like the Africa setting, like, but I do like the lore in this one because you go to this garden that's in like this like cave type thing, and it's this flower that it's from the origin of Umbrella. Like, it's from like, it's how they made the first the progenitor virus. So it's like where that all started. So you get that bit there of like lore. So that's great. I enjoy that, and Wesker dies. supposedly.
Hey, you want to start the real Umbrella?
Yeah, it's. I would say give this game a play because, especially if you have a partner, it's a little far fetched with Chris punching boulders, but
You want to rephrase that?
rephrase what?
I would say give this game a play, especially if you have a partner.
Yeah. Resident Evil 6 though. So I was at the midnight release for Resident Evil 6 at good old GameStop.
I remember that.
And I didn't know that they had it was an anthology version that you could buy, which gave you access to the classics, I want to say, as well as 4, 5, and 6. So you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not sure if they had Code Veronica in there or not. Was very angry when I got there because I had pre-ordered it and got just the plain game. So I get back to the house and I'm like jumping right in. I'm like, I just want to play this. So I remember loading it up and like the menu screen and like the intros, like really, really weird. It's like all like webbed and like, I don't know. It's strange. I like the idea of the intertwined campaigns. I thought it was really cool to have, like, you play these 4 different campaigns because you have Chris and Piers, Ada, you have Leon and Hunnigan, and Jake and Sherry. So you have a bunch of returning characters. You have Leon, Chris, Sherry, and Ada. And at some point in those campaigns, like, they run across each other. So, like, Leon gets to meet up with Chris for the first time, and Ada gets to run across Chris, and Sherry gets to see Leon again. So, like, there's these reunions and first time, like, interactions that are, like, really cool. And each campaign plays differently. So, like, Chris and Piers is more like action, like big gun type gameplay. Leon and Hunnigan is just kind of like a regular, like, campaign for Resident Evil. Ada is like more, I think more of the same with like Leon. And Jake and Sherry's more like hand-to-hand combat type of thing. Because Sherry has like the regen abilities because she's infected, and Jake also is infected, and he's Wesker's son. So like you have that aspect. Plus, it's like a lot of running and like quick time events, I think, in that one. But I feel like they kind of didn't do it. I think where they failed was at the time like Call of Duty really started like becoming the game to play like every year. Action like shooters were just more and more prevalent, so I feel like they were pressured to make these games like compete with those, where cuz you have like you could jump back and shoot, which is a very action. You could like do like I think you could slide as well. The healing in this game is fucking terrible. I hate it. Like I think you pick up a herb and it like fills tabs or tablets or whatever, and then you like it's fucking stupid. I remember playing it and enjoying it, but this is the one I've played the least because there's 4 campaigns. So I think I'd like to revisit this and like give it another chance, even though I'm pretty sure I'll have the same stance with it. I am going to replay it at some point when I get to it. But if you're a fan, like the Resident Evil series, like they have strayed pretty far from what made the originals like what they are. But I don't think fucking Colin. It's Hyundai.
My house.
Hyundai is where we're starting, and same time as I told you.
I need you to pressure wash.
What draws me to Resident Evil is like there's so much lore to it. You could go so deep with just, and they keep adding on to it. Like the Wesker's report that gave Wesker's background in Umbrella, with him and Birkin and stuff like that. Like they introduced that like later, so you get so many different styles of game, and you get like if you go back to play like Resident Evil 1, even if you play the remake, like you're not going to get that experience with like the remake of 2. Like that's so like 2 and 3 remake are like modern games. But 1 and especially 0, where 0 you have to drop items. There's no item box. So you have to drop an item and then go through the game, and if you need that item, you have to walk all the way back to where it is, pick it up, and then walk all the way back to where you can use it. So if you leave the shotgun in the lobby of the mansion and you get way down the line to, part of the lab, and you're like, shit, I need the shotgun. You have to walk the whole way back and pick it up. Like, most people are going to be like, this is stupid, because no game does that now.
I mean, it was still stupid then.
I mean, I agree. I hated it.
Like
the playing as 2 people was cool, like having like, because I think you could play that local co-op, I think, but you could control the second, like if the person was in your way, you could use the other joystick to move them, which was great. But the annoying part was trading items back and forth. So like what I would do is I would take all of the handgun ammo from Billy, and I would put it to Rebecca so that I would have all the handgun ammo, so he couldn't shoot anything, because they would just dump ammo, and you're like, what are you doing? Why? And it got super annoying. But I think they could, I'm going to be honest, I think they could remake that game.
Which one?
0. I think that's one they could. I would love to see Resident Evil 1 in the style of 2 and 3 remake, but I also think that there would be a chance that I would hate it. Is that weird to say?
Yeah, that's true with anything.
Well, yes, but like 2 remake is so perfect.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and reel you in right there. There are more, right?
What?
There are more.
More Resident Evils than what here?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
So we will come back to it.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, a remake of 1 in the style of the remakes, I think would...
I love you. You're talking in circles.
I mean, I talk in circles a lot.
No, well, Resident Evil is one of these things where it's like when we get you going, it's like having a little train on a circle track and losing the remote. So.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, man. Like, I think what makes the first one, even the first remake, so good, is that it stayed so true to the original, but added like more, which is what I mean. 2 remake, I don't think 2 remake added more, but it refined everything and just like put a little bow on top. And 3 remake, we're not going to talk about that one. They just took shit out of that one. They didn't add anything. They just took it out. And 4 remake was just like very close to which I'm shocked that they kept some of the stuff in. Like, I'm actually kind of shocked, but
I'm just going to go out there and say you can only regurgitate the same thing so many times.
yes. Which is like, but that's the thing with 4 remake, when they announced that they were remaking 4, I was like, why?
Yeah, and then you loved it.
And then I played it and I was like,
which that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we're at a point in game development where it makes sense to take the old stuff and bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to go and make any leaps and bounds between here and 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So it's like if we were going to do like a remake, maybe we should stop and think about that for a second.
So I think if they were to remake the first one, like they would remake the remake, which is stupid to say, but if they were to do that, the only reason that you would do that is to basically take like the legacy of your game and your series and just everything that you've done and just put it all in like the same style. So when somebody comes to and is like, I want to play every single Resident Evil game, it's not such a jarring experience from beginning to the end. So like eventually they would have to basically remake a good chunk of them.
Here's an idea.
That are canon at least.
What if instead they did a whole new story that fit perfectly in the canon?
Mm-hmm.
It was called Resident Evil 1 and 5/8.
I would sue Capcom for damages.
It would be like it would. So, because I mean, like in context, there's what I think it's like a 3-month period between 1 and 2.
No.
And then 2 and 3 are back to back.
Yeah. 3 months. Yeah, July,
Yeah, so,
August.
I mean,
2 months.
There's timeline there
Because it was July, and then everything started happening at the end of September in 2. Right?
Yeah.
Am I
So like
remember
right there,
that correctly?
you have like August.
I mean, not much is happening.
You can, dude. You can literally
They've
do whatever you want.
So they have 1, and then they have 2. There's 3 takes place during 2, and then Outbreak takes place during 2, and then Umbrella. What's it called? Operation Raccoon City takes place during 2.
So that's what I'm saying. What if like 1 and 5/8 was like the umbrella perspective of what happened between 1 and 2 to set up for 2?
I don't think you could make a game like that. I don't think so.
I bet you I could.
Well, then you do it, pitch it to Capcom, and one thing that you said about you can only regurgitate as much, like so much stuff before it's just like, okay, what are we doing here?
You can only regurgitate the same thing so many times.
Yes. So one thing that I think game developers in particular need to start looking at is what do people want and what have they been crying for so much? So Capcom,
Who?
your fan base.
Right. So who?
What do you mean?
There's so many different fan bases
So-
in that statement.
So yes, there are different like there's I'll give you an example. They have been shouting from the rooftops in unison to remake Resident Evil Code Veronica, to remake Resident Evil Outbreak, and to remake Dino Crisis. You ask any fan of survival horror or a Capcom fan, if you would find them and be like, what do you want Capcom to do? Those three answers are going to be like, bam, bam, bam. Capcom has yet to do any of that. If they remade Dino Crisis, it would go bonkers. If they remade Code Veronica, people would lose their fucking minds.
Here's the thing, though. From a product standpoint, you're focused on existing customers.
The existing customers are shouting from the rooftops to
That's
remake
fine.
those games.
And me, as a product manager at Capcom, I would love to keep my existing customers. The truth of the matter is, most of my existing customers are probably going to buy what we release that will attract new customers.
Here's all Capcom needs to do. Do that.
Well, okay, so you just spent like several tens of millions of dollars right there.
Huh?
To do that, that's, tens of millions of dollars.
Well, you're going to make that if you just put your energy into Monster Hunter. It's one of the biggest franchises ever. If there's an online community playing a game, people are playing Monster Hunter. It's massive.
So it's already released?
They've had multiples.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are we going to keep doing it?
Because you have to, people, it's a game that takes a lot of time, and people sink thousands of hours into that game.
Sure. Absolutely.
And then you have to release a new one.
What if I can come up with a new IP that gets me an additional 100,000 players?
It's not going to happen.
Why not?
Because people have tried that and failed miserably, especially lately.
Fortnite.
That's not a new IP.
But there was a time that
At the time, yes.
There was a time that
But
it was.
But you have the people that are trying to remake that Fortnite feel.
That's exactly what I'm
Concord.
saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like the Call of Duties, the Fortnites, the Resident Evils, the Monster Hunters, the Dino Crisis, the shooters. We love them very, very dearly, and we want more of it. We all represent existing customers. And if, that's not what product at a company is trying to do. They are trying to find ways to expand business. And I think that it doesn't lie within, being the next Fortnite or being the next.
Then why does every game developer keep trying to do it?
Because they don't have the appropriate people running this show over there.
That's what I'm saying. So, okay.
Like, the people that know this are over at SpaceX frickin' bringing a damn thruster back to chopsticks.
So, let's just keep it on Capcom. So, Capcom has Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is massive. People love Monster Hunter. If you made a definitive Monster Hunter where you can keep adding content, you can make it don't make it a full live service game. Make it a semi live service game, because as far as I know, Monster Hunter doesn't have microtransactions. I could be very wrong on that, but as far as I'm aware, it's not like a microtransaction type of game. But if you made it to where you don't have to buy these things, but if you're a fan, if that's your game, you're going to spend money on those. It's like Counter-Strike. You don't have to buy these skins, but if that's your game, people spend thousands of dollars on fucking skins.
Right, but here's the other thing.
People spend millions
Here's the
of
other
dollars
thing
on skins.
to understand is I don't need to make a new game to introduce microtransactions.
No. So what I'm getting at is, so you have this game that is like your cash cow. You can count on that to bring in revenue. Okay? You're like, if you have this game that's bringing you multiple $1 million per year, okay? You can stop, look at what you are doing. You're like, okay, we want to have a team focused on Monster Hunter and really doing that. We want a team over here working on a Code Veronica remake or a Dino Crisis remake or whatever, other thing. And then we want this team here to try and brainstorm or take this idea of new IPs and really focus on these new IPs to make them good. Because the problem is there's all these people that are trying to push out these new IPs that are like not even half-baked. And then they come out and they're just garbage.
So I'm going to give you some perspective into that based on some statistics I just pulled up.
Oh, boy.
Just because again, software development is what I do. Not games, but that's what I do. How much do you think it costs to develop Horizon Forbidden West?
That's probably easily like, what? It took them $250 million to do Concord, so I would say probably on the high side like $500 million.
212.
212 million?
Yes.
Okay.
Last of Us Part 2, 220 million.
Okay.
So, taking a game from concept to reality. Roughly,
so when we're looking at these are massive AAA titles. Like, massive, massive. How much was Horizon Zero Dawn to make? The first one.
Here's the thing, though. As a software engineer, I don't get any cheaper when I work on dog shit. I still cost the same to code.
I understand that. But the thing about it is people are trying to take these games that lack just creativity, they lack gameplay, they lack
a lot.
A lot of things.
That's
because they're trying to just move them along because they've got their hands in too many things.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is build a $220 million game out of $100 million.
Yeah, everybody's trying to do that.
It don't work.
No, it doesn't. It's like somebody coming to me and being like, "Hey, I want you to do a $1,000 job on my car, but I only want you to charge $120." And I'm like, I'm gonna do a $120 job like a $120 job. I'm not gonna do a $120 job like I do a $1,000 job. That's not how that works.
See, I'm gonna do the top end regardless because that's my name on, that's my reputation on whatever I'm working on. Sony plans to spend $2.13 billion in the next 3 years on game development alone.
Wait, say that again?
Sony plans to spend $2.13 billion on game development alone over the next 3 years.
Sure.
That's a fuck ton of money.
So that's what,
40% of their budget.
So that's what, 3 to 4 games, depending.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that's Sony, who just dropped Astrobot.
So you sub out the work. So Sony isn't doing all of this in house.
That actually makes it more expensive.
But not if it's a Sony owned studio.
No, it's still more expensive. Believe it or not.
If Sony owns the studio, wouldn't it just cost the same amount as if it would Sony working on it?
No, because the other studio, the sub, actually has their own overhead costs that they have to assume.
But if Sony owns it, it's Sony's overhead cost.
No, because it's not on the same. So it's not on the same budget. If you would like, let's say, give me an example of somebody who, um, like of a studio that you're referring to, where Sony owns it, where it's a subsidiary.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's called
Gorilla.
Alpha.
I think does Sony own Gorilla at this point?
We'll say for this what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say they own Gorilla. Gorilla has their own offices. They have their own, support staff. They have their own budget. They have their own executive board. They have all this stuff. The executive board doesn't actually do anything other than leadership and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So all of their salaries and everything have to be paid out of what they make on profit from the development teams itself. So even though it's a subsidiary, yes, does it boil down to being Sony's money and kind of costing them the same? Not really, because it's actually cheaper for Sony to just hire a developer on themselves at, say, $150,000 a year and eat that loaded rate of, their benefits, their PTO, their insurance might be, a loaded rate of maybe 20 to 30%. Whereas with Gorilla, they are still assuming that overhead, but they also have to pay for the cost of that office space that they now have.
Sure.
Or for that, the technical capabilities of the developer, providing them with a laptop, providing them with hardware, any of the licensing they need. That studio probably has its own set of PlayStation licensing for the development purposes.
Sure.
So at that point, Gorilla might say, okay, for every hour this developer works, you're going to pay us $130. Whereas at Sony, every hour the developer works would be, 180 divided by 2,080 hours? Probably around like $70-$80.
Sure.
But you got to remember, with Sony, if they hire them themselves, then they have to do all that work themselves and managing them in the HR department, all of, coordinating their PTO. The administrative shit is just a headache. So by the time that you're done, with your yearly dose of Excedrin,
Yeah.
it might make sense to spend a little more and sub it out. But yeah, I mean that's a cog in the machine. Subcontracting is literally just a way to hide money, especially if you own the sub.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry for that rant, but
no, I mean it makes sense because like I would assume that if Sony owns this studio, but they're not working in-house at Sony, then it would just be like Sony funds this studio to run. Like they're their own like little ecosystem there and with their budgets and the way that everything goes, because it's like Sony, this big thing in the middle with all these little webs out, but the money just filters out to these companies. They have, these budgets, and they operate on as their own entities. But in the end, it just goes back to, it just feeds back into this giant machine.
Yeah, I mean Sony. In that instance, the studio would be owned by Sony. The studio would still have its own bank accounts, its own profit and loss statement, and things like that. Sony could certainly, pull money from it whenever they would need to. They own it.
Yeah.
But the likelihood of Sony actually doing that is probably slim to none.
So I'll go back to what Colin said up here about Modern Warfare 2 Remastered for their multiplayer. There were free mods for it that you could download for free,
right?
Because people were craving playing Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer, and Activision shut it down because it would be deterring people's focus from Black Ops 6 and people wanting to play that. So they'd be technically losing money because people would be playing this versus the new shiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different when you look at something like Call of Duty, where that's you need people to play the new game because that's how that game exists. It's a multiplayer only. If people aren't playing it, it doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't make sense. I was very surprised. I didn't realize Microsoft tried to purchase Activision.
Yes. Yep.
And then the FTC said, "Oh hell no,"
Mm-hmm.
Which was a good move on the FTC's part. The government's actually, doing the right thing. And I think I think that for the most part they're in the right place with a lot of things. But you know, it's there's no advantage to when you're a game like Call of Duty to sit there and leave your servers up for your old games.
Yeah, so
Now, maybe for like the last version, like the very last game before this one, sure.
yeah, like this. I mean, Modern Warfare 2 remastered wasn't that long ago. I mean, it probably was at this point, but so like with that, so there's been countless times where people have done Resident Evil, like they do like randomizers, they do Resident Evil like HD projects where they have gone through and they basically, somebody has taken Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 1 remake and put it in Unreal Engine and like have basically done the entire job of making this game nice and polished. There's countless people that are doing that for Resident Evil, for Call of Duty, for multiple games where they basically are doing the legwork for Capcom. They're like, look, here's what it could be. So if Capcom, if somebody were to go and just do a remake of Code Veronica, like from the ground up, they would just remake it on their own accord. And Capcom were to, if they were to send it to Capcom, or they were to somehow be able to get in contact with Capcom and be like, look, I have this beta version, not even a beta, but like the early stages of this. It's in the engine that you use. What do you guys think? If Capcom were to take that and be like, all right, let's take a look at this here, and they were to go through and be like, it would take us this much money, this much time to take this thing that this guy made and just refine it and polish it and then put it out. Wouldn't that just be like a smart thing to do? Like, because one, it cost you $0 to allow somebody to basically just do something for free. And there are many people that are out there that are very capable of making their own thing.
Absolutely.
It's just you just can't make it and then sell it on your own because it's not your property to do so.
So I am gonna address that. If that were to happen, one, that's not what's really happening, is because a lot of people will go out there, do exactly what you're saying, and then they'll, put it out there for people to play. They're not actually like releasing source code and saying, here, look, we've got this, we can build it, you can build from it, you can do this. They're not sending it to Capcom and being like, here, I just want to see it out here. Because I think Capcom probably would say, oh, this is 90% done. Let's go ahead and just, make sure it meets our best practices, revise the code, clean it up, test it, and, kind of take it the 10% to the end and call it a day. And they may even offer, some sort of kickback to whoever did that if they were, they don't have to, but I genuinely believe that if that's how it went down, that's probably something that they would be open to, because outside of the gaming community, open source software is literally what has made the world what it is today. You can go out and find these just free libraries of code that enable you to do things just by plugging it into your code and then utilizing it.
Yeah.
And you don't pay anything for it, and it's all in this good faith where it's like, hey, we're going to take care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really what's happening. People are doing it all the way. They want to get it done because they want to see it, complete and full to whatever you want to call it. And in a lot of cases, they don't have the resources to test it. They don't have the resources to vet it. Some of them might be brilliant with their coding, and they, even though they're brilliant, coding is one of those things where you can do the same thing 100 different ways. And we lost Colin because of my rant, but I guess my point is that what you're saying makes sense, and I think it would work. I don't think anybody's trying it because it doesn't make
you don't even have to. You don't even have to send it to Capcom personally. Like, there are people that will, do these Resident Evil HD projects, or they will do.
Real quick, you do, because if you put it anywhere for anyone else to touch, you're a licensing violation.
Yes, 100%. So that's what I was getting at. So, like, say I'm just like this prodigy, like, dude that just sits in his basement all day and just programs and just has this passion to create games. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm like a huge, massive Resident Evil fan, and I'm like, I need to have a Code Veronica remake. I just have to have it.
Make it.
So I go through and I spend 2 years of my life just making this thing as good as I can, as detailed as I can, every little bit, the story, I go through everything to make just this version that's just like good, I don't go crazy with like, mocap or voice acting or what have you. Like, I just make this version that's basically a hyper crazy good version of Code Veronica just remade in this new engine, okay? Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much like what the beta of a game would be. Like, I've gone through, I've put in the textures, I've done all of that. People can play it, enjoy it as like a full-blown game. But it's not the type of game that you would get from Capcom, where it's like mocap, or they do like all brand new voice actors, and they have like just better tools to do the job just a little bit better, okay? So what if I spent the 2 years of my life just gunning for that and just doing that, and I put it up on a website, people can download it free of charge, and they can play it, okay?
There's your problem.
People do that.
Yep.
Okay? Some developers could care less. They're like, fuck it, whatever. I don't care. Some are just like, no. Cease and desist. Axe it.
Wouldn't you be?
So if I'm Capcom in this position now, okay, and if I hear buzz about this Code Veronica remake, and I'm at Capcom, I don't have this going in the pipeline. It's not even a thought in my brain. I'm just like, whatever. I'm like, let's see it. And I go to the website and I download it, and I sit here with a couple colleagues, and I'm one of them's playing, and I'm just kind of watching, and I'm like, I'm looking at the site to see how many downloads it has, what's the traffic on it, are people loving this? I want to see people talk about it. I'm going to go to blogs and see what they're saying about it, what do they have to say about it, how many people have downloaded it, I'm running the gamut on this thing, okay? I'm doing all of the research. I'm writing down the numbers. I'm like, okay, so somebody took our IP, and they took it upon themselves to do a remake, okay? I'm okay with it, because as a developer who has this huge franchise that people love and they crave for more, it keeps my franchise alive. So if I were to announce a new Resident Evil game, I know people are still interested in it, okay? If I were to decide to remake a Resident Evil game, I know that the demand is there. So if I'm looking at the numbers and it's like 1.5 million downloads, and people are saying like this is really good, like you only spent 2 years on, and like I'm just reading all the positive people, like there's just tons of positive reviews about it. The people like I love it. I'm gonna sit down with those colleagues and be like, okay, so who uploaded this? Get in contact with him.
You may not be able to trace them.
Maybe not.
Typically not.
If not,
most people typically try to keep themselves.
If not, maybe I put a calling out of, hey, whoever made this, reach out to us. Send us a tweet, send us an email, reach out, call our support line, whatever the case may be. Okay? I want to be in contact with the person that did this.
I get that.
So, or I go the route of, okay, I see people like that. Leave it there. Okay? But, just wait. Leave it there. Okay? Just for now. Because I feel like this day and age, if you're a developer and you go after that kind of shit, it immediately turns your fan base on you.
Nope.
100% it does.
So you're never buying a... So if this happens and Capcom has it taken down, you're not going to buy any more Resident Evil shit?
Let me finish.
I'm just asking.
Let me finish, okay? So somebody, I decide, okay, we're leaving this up. Call this team, get them working on a Code Veronica remake.
No point.
Listen. Just listen, okay? Analyze everything that's on there. Analyze everything that we've done in 2 remake, 4 remake, and unfortunately 3 remake. Look at what we've done there, okay? What did he do in here that was good, okay? How can we make it 10 times better? Okay? So get that together, okay? Get a good gameplay trailer and let's put it out.
What you're forgetting is that you're going to spend $100 million to do that.
But guess what? No matter how many people have played this guy's version of the remake, every single one of those people that played that are going to jump the second those pre-orders go live.
Why?
Because Capcom finally did it.
Would you spend $60 just for a name?
I would spend $150 to $200.
Okay, that's you.
A bunch of people would follow suit.
I'm not denying that there's probably 500,000 to 1 million people that are going to do that.
Every single person that played that are going to... They couldn't click fast enough for that.
There's a whole lot of speculation.
And I'll tell you why. Because if it's gotten to the point where somebody else has taken the liberties to just go and do it, that means they've gotten tired of trying to get their attention to do it. Because I will tell you right now, any Resident Evil fan that is in existence wants to see Code Veronica remade. It's a lot of people's favorite Resident Evil.
I'm not denying any of that, and I'm not denying this, but what I am telling you is that, like, it's a hell of a lot of risk to take something that's already done and do it again.
But if the person that has made your franchise, your favorite franchise, says, hey, we're doing it. We've heard you. We're doing it.
That's fine.
People are going to just be basically at their doorstep, just like, we're ready to kiss your feet.
After they already played one?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's not going to be as good as they're going to do it.
Okay. I mean, to what degree? One, you don't know that.
100%. There's no doubt. Because if you've already created a competition, so as the developer, so like Yeah, you could send the cease and desist of, like, take it down. But right now, with how rampant... Like, dude, Nintendo... People fucking hate Nintendo because they do it to the max degree. They don't even send the letters. They just go straight to lawsuit.
I noticed,
and they're just out to ruin lives at this point.
I noticed they still buy Nintendo product
because you can't get it anywhere else.
Well, then, so be it. Like
it's the same thing though. Like, even if somebody made a fan remake, if the actual developer puts it out and says that we're going to do it, everybody that played it is just going to be like, yeah, 100%.
I
Day
disagree.
one buy.
I think there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, I don't need to spend $60 just to have the name brand. I'm personally the volition. If I'm at Capcom and that happens, I need that down yesterday because every single one of those downloads is a potential sale that I'm missing. But also, yes, look for.
Alicia's like, all right, he needs his bottle. You're about to hear some screaming. Dude, when that boy's hungry, he's hungry.
I'll bet. But yeah, I need that down yesterday. I'm not taking the time to research it. I'm not taking the time to look it up because that takes time, and the more time it's up, the more risk I'm assuming. And then, yes, absolutely, reach out to the guys, see what we can do.
So I think that if you try to get it taken down, or if you go the route of getting it taken down, you have to do it as quietly as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not... First off, cease and desist on IP falls on the website that it's posted on, so we just need to contact the website, and they can have it down relatively quickly.
Yeah.
That doesn't guarantee that it's not going to get posted again.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you contact a website and you're like, yo, y'all are in violation of copyright law, people are typically like, oh, shit. I'm sorry, we didn't realize that happened.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like Capcom, they're. But I agree. I think quietly is the key there.
Like if you are going to take it down, you have to do it quietly because the minute that it gets out of like Capcom goes after the person for fan-made Resident Evil game or whatever, like people get salty real quick but that's you're worried about losing sales on the fan-made game. I think you're going to lose more.
Nobody's getting Resident Evil anywhere else.
I understand.
And if they're so hell bent to where they would spend $60 even if they already downloaded a free one, I guarantee you they're not going to stop buying it because I went after my own intellectual property.
I don't know. I think especially in the time that we live in now, I think you have to really tread lightly in that. You have to go about it a certain way to preserve the look and the integrity of your company while also trying to deliver that.
Cease and desist isn't a bad thing either.
No, it's not. It's I mean,
if I may,
most people can't look at something like that and understand why they're doing it. They're just like, you're
right.
Because people have this many brain cells nowadays.
Well, I think they just don't have the right context. For IP, most people don't have IP in their life, as far as a game is concerned. For a place like Capcom, the people that own Capcom, the people that work there, they have poured millions of dollars into that. They have poured, probably millions of hours into that, developing it across multiple people. It's as if you were to write a 30-page thesis statement and somebody were to steal it out of your backpack and hand it in college in your place and take credit for it, and then you had no thesis to turn in yourself.
Yeah.
That would piss off anybody. So, except on this stage, it's, we're not talking about a thesis. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars and, millions of hours and just the
Sure.
scale is purely. So I think it's kind of. I agree with you. I don't think it's really so much that people don't have the brain cells. They just don't see it that way because it's a product.
People don't care to see it that way either.
Well, yeah, they don't see it creatively. They see it, as something that sits on a shelf.
Yeah. So I mean, like I can see where you're coming from with if somebody's played it already, why are they going to go buy it? But
I wouldn't.
Well, you're not like I wouldn't consider you like
I'm not hardcore Resident Evil like you are.
Yeah, it's you have to look at it through like that's your thing. Like if somebody like you have a fan made game, it's never going to be as
Would you
good.
have it taken down after you release yours? Or would you let it sit there and compete?
See, I think nowadays like it's not directly competing.
That's a choice though.
Because you
don't know what the Capcom version's like until you buy it.
So at this point, the Resident Evil fan base has built like this community.
Okay.
Like there's people that exist on YouTube that they made a fan film, okay, based off of The Keeper's Diary. It's arguably the most like famous file in any Resident Evil game.
How big is the fan base?
For Resident Evil or for the YouTube channel?
The channel.
Pretty big.
Like how big?
I don't know numbers.
Because I'm willing to bet you it's a fraction of the total sales of those games.
So listen, so they made a fan film. It's based off of The Keeper's Diary. So The Keeper's Diary is a file you find in Resident Evil 1 that it's a guy that worked at Umbrella that describes, a night that he had playing poker with these guys. Then some guy brought a biohazard suit to his room. He starts to feel itchy. He starts to basically it's his story of how he went from being this worker to now turning into a zombie.
Right.
And the very last words that he types are itchy, tasty. Those are the last words. And it shows how even when he was basically all the way turned, he still had that little bit of humanity left in him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's among the Resident Evil community, everybody loves Itchy Tasty. It's, there was a book that somebody wrote called Itchy Tasty. So they made a fan film. So they crowdfunded it. They raised more than they needed. And they made it. And they released it on YouTube. Fantastic. I mean, it's clearly, fan made.
How long is it?
I don't know, 15, 20 minutes.
So
So let's go the extra mile. So the person that plays the Keeper is the original the FMV that plays in the beginning of Resident Evil where it has the real life people. The guy that played Chris, that's the guy that plays the Keeper.
Okay.
So you have that extra bit of fan service there. And so they made this fan film based off of this. I mean, they had Jill dress up as Jill. They had a hunter, and then at the end, the guy that is one of the runners of the channel, JJ, he comes in as a janitor, and there's blood splatter all over the window, and he comes in and he has a squeegee, and he cracks a beer and takes a sip, puts it in his front pocket, and squeegees the blood, and he's like, "I'm not getting paid enough for this shit." And it ends, and it's really well done. It's probably the best film adaptation of anything Resident Evil that's ever been done. Capcom hasn't come after them for it or anything like that. They've been doing more for the Resident Evil community than anybody could. And I think it's a healthy place for it benefits Capcom to have these types of people that exist in the community to, either bring new people in or keep existing people in.
Absolutely.
They have multiple interviews of like voice actors from Resident Evil games. Like they got the whole original cast from the FMV at the beginning. Everybody, Rebecca, Barry, well, everybody that's I guess still alive. I think there's a couple that passed away, but they have Chris, Jill, Rebecca. Like they've done so much. They've tracked them down too. They weren't credited in the game.
Wow.
So they tracked them down themselves and got in contact with them and then got them all reunited.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the fan group, I think it's great. I think it's important, and I think you guys definitely like are hardcore and like passionate about it. I still think it's a fraction of the total impact that the IP has on the world.
I think that if you're a diehard fan, you're eventually going to come across that kind of person. Like you're going to come across the Residents of Evil. You're going to come across the Ink Ribbon. You're going to come across Bakba Soup. Like there's these people that are staples in the Resident Evil community, from whether you're just speed running the game, whether you're creating content and going the extra mile because you have the funds and the experience to do so, or you're just making YouTube videos like Ink Ribbon about these deep dive facts or all these just like little intricate type of videos that he does.
Well, yeah, and I mean Capcom, there's really no IP there for them to come after because they don't own Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield 100%, and all that.
But
it didn't combat them for money.
So if that channel, Residents of Evil, Ink Ribbon, Bakba Soup, they're going to play and stream them playing, a HD project of Resident Evil 1, a fan-made remake of Code Veronica,
Still
this and that. So
it's just going to push the fan remake. It's not going to actually make Capcom anything.
If Capcom were to remake, if
Capcom was the one who remade it, yes.
If Capcom were to see that and be like, we're going to do the fucking remake.
Oh, no. If a remake were, like a fan remake were to hit a channel like that, it would be too late.
I don't think so.
Because that would hit so many people and it would just explode. It would be viral, for lack of a better term.
I think that if Capcom were to be like, okay, you know what? Here's our trailer. Here's the editions that you can pre-order. Pre-orders are now. That shit would be fucking gone.
Yeah, I still don't think that would be the case
if you let a
fan remake go.
I think it would go. I think it would be better for Capcom.
You also have to consider the precedent you're setting with that. At that point, you're basically saying, oh yeah, remake our IP.
I don't
That's
think...
how the court's going to take it,
So,
though.
I think there's only a limited amount of things that the fans could do in that IP because there's only so much that they want.
I mean, so, like
I said, there's 3 things that people are going nuts for. It's an Outbreak remake because Capcom, for some reason, has always tried to push a multiplayer Resident Evil thing. And it's always been things that we don't want. We don't want player versus enemy multiplayer. We don't want PvP multiplayer. We don't want that. We want working together.
I mean, that's the royal we,
like you did for PS2 with Outbreak.
So, you know what you could do as a fan? Instead of remaking the IP yourself because you love the IP, make your own damn game under the same premise.
Daymare 1998, I think is what it's called. That is basically a Resident Evil clone that a fan made.
Don't clone it.
It's not like it's its own thing, but it's like heavily inspired by Resident Evil.
There you go. The more of those come out and more people get traction with that, that's when Capcom's like, shit, what can we do? And you're not violating IP.
But you're still not giving the fans what they want.
Who isn't? Capcom or the Capcom or the fans? That's not true. They might. I guarantee. So if you push out 2 or 3 brand new Resident Evils that aren't truly Resident Evil, but everybody knows it's Resident Evil and it gains traction, eventually Capcom is going to be like, what can we do quick?
The success of 2 remake, success of 4 remake. Look at those 2 and be like, what other ones could we remake that people would like? Let's see what the fans are saying. Oh, Code Veronica. Oh, Outbreak. Which ones do we want to do? It's not hard. Like, you have, like, people are there.
I don't think it's a question of what.
Like, at this point, people are outside Capcom offices just with their wallets, just waving it in the air.
It's not a question of what. I think they know what would come next. I think it's just a matter of, does it make sense to do this right now?
Yes.
For you. But for them, dude, it's like gas prices. They're never coming back down because they know we're going to pay what we pay. Like, they've got you on a little string wrapped around their finger, and they're going to play it as long as they can.
At some point, though, like, you have to let us grab the carrot every once in a while. You have to give us the carrot.
They do. You're still here. You're like going on about Resident Evil for at least an hour, so.
But like the things that I'm going on about, like, you know, it's because I have nostalgia for the franchise.
You still there?
But beyond that, like, I think I'm more passionate about Resident Evil now because of, like, these things in the community that I've seen.
And that's great. I agree. It's beneficial. Capcom just lets that be its thing. Like, that's the best thing they can do is keep their hands off of it.
That's where things thrive, is when you have a community that actually cares.
Yes.
And it has to be a healthy community, not a toxic community. Like, there are toxic Resident Evil fans for sure, where they're just bitching and complaining about every little thing and every little detail. You're going to get those in all kinds of fan bases, but holy shit, there's some that are just like, really? Like, we're focusing on that?
Yeah. I would like to go back to Colin's point real quick before I adjourn. One, I'm fairly certain that Activision is probably running everything on cloud now. They may not be. I think it's likely that they are, so it's fairly easy to stand things up and take them down.
Mm-hmm.
If they were smart with the Modern Warfare 2 decommission, instead of decommissioning it and forcing their users over to Black Ops 6, they would stand up Modern Warfare 2 servers on a paid basis. So that way people who wanted to continue to play Modern Warfare 2 would have to pay like $15 a month.
So I've literally, like, when I worked with Colin, we would just talk, and I laid out this plan that Call of Duty, I don't know why they don't do it, because it would be such a smart idea.
What?
Okay, so you know the Fortnite formula, where you play Fortnite and then you have all these, like, extra game modes that you can play at any given point, correct? Yep. Why does Call of Duty not do where it's Call of Duty and you have, you know, multiplayer, okay, where you have to, you know, you buy the content when it comes out. So it's go back to the times where you had to buy map packs. You remember that back in the day where you had to buy, like, so it was like
anything.
You know, 3 new maps are coming out in August, and you had to buy them to play them in the playlists.
Is this just like a ornate microtransaction plan?
Basically. So okay, so you have Call of Duty. If you want to play team deathmatch and stuff, you can play team deathmatch, but you have to buy the map packs to play those maps. So you just do a mix of Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, World at War.
I'll tell you exactly why they don't do that. Because then you have to know during matchmaking which players have which map packs, and that takes a fuck ton of computing power. Plus,
I mean, they used to do it anyway.
that's why they stopped.
I think
Like, I can't if we'll use OG Modern Warfare as an
they
example.
continue. Counter-Strike does it.
They do, absolutely. I agree with you. It can be done. It just doesn't make sense for their player volume. Because, like with you, if we wanted to play Call of Duty together and I had block and you didn't,
Have playlists that you can customize it.
what do you mean customize it?
Like you go into, so like when you go into Team Deathmatch playlist,
Like you have to select your maps?
you basically like, or it auto reads what maps you have and then navigates your matchmaking based on that.
No, that's exactly what it would do. It would say, like, your user profile would say, hey, you are, allowed to access these maps. And then, let's say you're in a lobby, though.
Or
and you have,
just make it so where like you can't even play like that playlist if you don't have the maps.
what I'm saying is, like, let's say you have 10 maps and every player has one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you throw all 10 of them into a lobby with 2 other guys.
Yeah.
You have to pick a map that all players have access to. And there is the potential that, outside of like your core maps, like let's say there's 4 core maps that come with it.
Sure.
If you get into a lobby where, like purchased map B, one player doesn't have it, nobody can play that. So you suddenly get restricted by what other players choose to purchase.
Sure. Or you could even like instead of just having like a universal like if you want to play Team Deathmatch, you select this. You can you can go in, and when you go to Team Deathmatch, you select the game. So like if I wanted to play Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, I would go to Team Deathmatch, Modern Warfare 2, and I have the maps because I purchased the game, and now I can play with other people that have those, and then you could do it for basically any.
The way.
So, but you could put it, instead of buying map packs, you're buying a game, but really you're just buying the map pack with extra stuff.
Well, I think that your map pack idea would work, except you would have to redo the lobby every time.
You would have to make it, yeah. So
you would build your lobby around the maps, so if
Yeah.
like you wouldn't get to play with the same people over and over again.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why don't they do that with that franchise? Like, it just makes sense because all they're doing is just going back and recycling this fucking same bullshit. Modern Warfare 2, we've already had a Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 3, we've already had a Modern Warfare 3. Black Ops 6, cool. I don't like. It's all multiplayer. So why don't you have?
What's your favorite sandwich?
Shit.
Seriously.
Bologna and peanut butter.
Bologna and peanut butter. What peanut butter do you buy?
Whatever kind I grab off the shelf.
Okay, but creamy or crunchy?
Depends on what I feel like.
Okay, so literally any peanut butter.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm not picky.
How long's peanut butter been peanut butter?
I don't fucking know. Since they've decided that you could turn peanuts into peanut butter.
Okay. Are you buying it still?
If I want bologna and peanut butter, sure.
Do you think they're going to change it?
I mean, if something makes them change it, sure.
What might make them change it?
The fact that people decide that they don't want to buy peanut butter anymore.
Right.
That's what Call of Duty is going through right now.
People don't want to buy it? Or
They're-
people are still buying the hell out of it?
People are still okay. People still buy it, but not as many as they used to. Like, Call of Duty has died significantly. You have Warzone, which people are going to play because they think that they can be a pro streamer.
I believe Activision already did this once.
With what?
Guitar Hero?
Yes. It's
They
kind
don't get it. They don't get it, dude.
It's kind of that same. So
You
look,
flood the shit out of it, and you screw yourself.
So look, the way that they've been doing it, yes, that's exactly the route that they've been doing. They've just been shoving Call of Duty games down people's throats every single year, and some of them suck, some of them are good.
You change the textures, you change the story a little bit, call it a day.
Yes, so
it doesn't work. Eventually, society catches up.
If you have it as the Fortnite model, where if I'm going on Steam and I type in Call of Duty, there is one game that pops up, and it is Call of Duty, and I download it, okay? Underneath of it is all add-on, basically. So I go in, I download Call of Duty free to play, okay? Now, I have it downloaded, and I'm going through, and I'm like, oh, Modern Warfare 2. Fuck, I loved Modern Warfare 2. To play this, to play this playlist, I need to spend $30 to buy Modern Warfare 2. And if I spend $30 to buy Modern Warfare 2, and I'm like, hell yes, I get to play Rust, I get to play whatever other fucking map. I can't even remember what the maps are at this point. But I get to play all these maps. Like, hell yeah. Like, that's great.
Well, and yeah, I think that's...
other people would think that's great.
I agree with you. I think that would be a great model. Except, don't charge $30 for it.
Maybe not.
Charge $10 a month. Make people pay... continuously.
So you could
for
do
the residual income. It's software as a service.
You could do a monthly service of like,
and then you could switch games. As
how
you
about
wanted.
this? Do both. If you want, hold on.
If you give them,
hold on. If you download the Call of Duty service, and all I care about is playing Modern Warfare 2. If you give me the option to pay, say it's say it's $60, full price game. If you're like, hey, $60 and you can play just Modern Warfare 2. Sure.
Nope.
But if I'm somebody that's like, I want to play that, but I also want to play the others, so I'm going to spend X amount of dollars per month. You're giving people the option.
Here's why.
Your boy is ready for it. We're going to wrap up here in a second.
If you're going to switch to software as a service and make that the only way they can consume it, people are not going to walk away because they're already invested.
Mm-hmm.
Modern Warfare 2 came out, I think he said 2020.
For Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, yeah.
So that's 4 years now at 12 months a year, 48 months. That's $480 on one person playing Modern Warfare 2 since then, where if I would have given it to them for $60, that's $60 and done, $60 and out. It's great. It's happy. I'm good. I'm happy for you. Fuck y'all.
So what about the people that do like the off and on? Because a lot of people that do
discontinue your subscription and restart it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, give them the option. You can stop whenever you want. You could start whenever you want.
But what if you gave me the option to also buy that map pack?
Well, the map pack's separate from the game piece.
Yes.
So you have to have a subscription to play the game in order to use the map pack.
So you're saying to have the subscription be for the service.
The subscription's for the damn game.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. It's just like Adobe Creative Cloud. If I don't pay my $30 a month, I don't get into AI to do my freaking Illustrator work.
So if they did it that way, charge $10 a month and you get access to all of them. So like Colin just said with the EA Pass, you pay $10 a month for Call of Duty Pass and you get every Call of Duty.
See, I would up it for every COD game.
So hold on. So think about this.
Because that's a lot of games.
Think about this for a second. So they would have to port. So they would have this big like interface like that you would download, like a portal basically to where you select your game or you select a mix of games and you have to download the games on top of the portal. Okay.
You don't even have to download the games anymore.
Well, no, you can have them cloud based, but
You just
nobody wants to do that.
Here's the thing, though. So much of that is already internet based. The hell are you doing? It's sending a little more data.
Sure, but like when it comes to
you can
a
download
horror
it,
game
sure.
a multiplayer game where milliseconds count, people like to have the best chance possible. But besides like, so you'd have to have this main hub, and then you'd have to have the data that that you have to download for each of the games to be able to play. So you would have to port basically all of the Call of Duty games to be able to interface with this portal, basically.
Not necessarily. Well, I mean, if they were, that's why cloud-based works so well, because when you stream a game, it's not actually running on the console. It's only rendering there. It's running on a virtual machine in the cloud.
Yeah.
So suddenly, all the games run on everything, and you're just building the portal to access that.
Sure, but you have to think of it like the Master Chief Collection, where they had Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 4, and when you go to matchmaking, you can customize what games you want to play. So if I'm like, I only want to play Halo 2, Halo 3, SWAT, I can go in, click Halo 2, Halo 3, SWAT, and then it'll only put me in Halo 2 or Halo 3 SWAT games.
Yeah, the portal would allow you to select which games.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
You would have to have a subscription for which games you wanted, or the subscription could be for Call of Duty, like the Call of Duty universe, and
yeah,
I think that should be like $25 or $20 a month if it's all of them. But
yeah. So I mean, I think you could probably, if you're offering all of them and they're like, they all have like active player bases, which they would 100%. I think you could get away with $20 a month. Easy.
Yeah, and I mean like
easy.
Your map pack idea. Extend that to the upgrades that you get at different levels. Allow you to bypass it and like buy the red dot scope or buy the ACOG scope.
Yeah, and like Colin just said, a big thing is you would have if they did that, they would have an anti-cheat where you could play Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer without just getting bot cheat lobbies where people get nukes in like half a second. Or like you spawn and you're just like outside of the map and you're like, what is going on?
Or Activision can pull their head out of their ass and actually put something in the gameplay where nukes aren't enabled for 60 seconds.
I mean, yeah, but for a game from fucking 2008, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not hard because it's, again, running in the cloud, you can do anything.
I don't think those games are running in the cloud anymore.
They can be.
They could, yeah.
That's my point. Is that like if the portal were,
but you would have to go into like, and you'd have to pull those games off the like Steam. Like you'd have to pull Modern Warfare 2, like classic Modern Warfare 2 off if you want to put Modern Warfare 2 in that subscription base.
No, think of it this way. So, in the cloud, I can literally start a computer that doesn't even exist, and it's running on a server, a partition of a server.
Sure.
Right? You just need to create an image, as they call it, that would be compatible with what your PC would be, or in this case, like a cloud PS5.
Sure.
It's running at that server, so it's like that is in the server.
Sure.
And then all the data just transfers between that machine and your console. So your console, literally the only work that has to do is get the data from there to here and display it.
Sure.
And that way, you can configure the cloud console so that it executes code and compiles code from any of the games. Because remember, the programming language hasn't changed since PS3. it's been C++.
Yeah.
So they're all in the same language. It's just a matter of what you compile them to run on. So
Sure.
if they're all running on the same virtual machine in the cloud, that's what you compile them to run on. They're all running there. That doesn't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like, I think if they did that, it would definitely be the best thing that they could possibly do for that franchise.
I agree. I mean, they won't.
No, they won't. Because...
Unless they hear this and they're like, oh, wait, wait a minute.
Oh my god, that Dad's Game Room, they're on to something. We want royalties.
For that game, yeah, that would be nice. If you guys even give me like 0.5%.
Yeah.
For us to split.
Yeah, 0.5% to split.
0.25% to split. Like, you got...
We'll be fine.
$10 a month at that user base? I'll be buying a Ferrari by tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and have all the money in the world to do whatever with.
Yeah, like I'll be buying a house by noon.
All right, we got to wrap this up. I could sit here and talk about this like forever, but yeah, what Colin said, the three of us need to go to Activision tomorrow and just bust down their door and just be like, look, sit down. We're having a talk.
I see that going.
Consider this a pitch. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. Andy, say the thing for old time's sake.
We're Dad's Game Room.
Yes.
We're back.